Hey guys, I'm going to be sharing a dream today that is a it's a pretty sobering dream. It's a wake up warning dream for those in the church who are still sleepy or choosing to kind of keep their eyes shut to what the Lord is saying in the earth right now. And even some are mocking and have kind of a mocking, arrogant attitude toward what the Lord is saying through his people and the warnings he's giving and the seriousness of the hour. And before I had this dream, I was actually praying and crying out to the Lord and wrestling through my own struggles of seeing a lot of the church stay asleep and kind of be focused on worldly issues or culture issues that are more of a distraction of the enemy to what the Lord is trying to say and trying to warn of, and what he's saying through his people. And so I had been crying out to the Lord, praying to him, and then he gave me this dream on April 16th, 2022, so not too long ago. And in the dream, I was showing the group of people I was with, I was showing them the view, the ocean view that was out in front of them, and showing them what was the view. And they weren't paying attention, they weren't listening. And then the next scene, I'm with this same group of people in a car, but Jesus is driving the car, and they're all in the back, and Jesus drives the car dangerously close to the edge of the cliff and drives them kind of like over the side of the cliff, so everyone feels like they're gonna fall off and die. Like, why are we this close to the edge? And it feels really scary. And then the scene shifts, and we're driving. Still, Jesus is still driving, but we're driving over hills of broken rock. And then I receive a call from somebody that would be represented by this group, and that individual says, "I heard God, and I'm a wreck on the rock." And when I woke up, I immediately thought of the verse that says that those who fall on the rock will be, broken, but those on whom the rock falls will be crushed. And this verse comes from Matthew 21. And Jesus is talking through a parable before he says this about how, a master planted a vineyard, and he sent his servants to go, when the season drew near, he sent his servants to the tenants to get his fruit, but the tenants killed his servants. So he sent more servants, and they killed those servants. And then he sent, eventually, he sent his own son, and they said, they killed him. And it says, when the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those tenants because of what they've done to his servants and his son? But then it says in verse 42 of chapter 21, he says, have you never read in the scriptures, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone? This was the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore I tell you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people producing its fruits. And the one who falls on the stone will be broken to pieces, and when it falls on anyone, it will crush him. And so the Lord was showing me through the dream that those who are choosing to keep their eyes shut or ignore the voice of the Lord in the earth right now, what he's saying through his people, the warnings he's giving, for them, they are like those who must fall on the rock, and their life will, to some degree, have to kind of come apart and unravel and be broken in order for them to be saved. So the verse implies that some people, it will take them actually having to go through their life unraveling and be broken. They have to break before they'll receive what Christ is saying and what he's saying through his chosen voices and his vessels. It will take them breaking. And so they're going to have to go through hardship and going to have to go through a difficult storm, and almost like how Jesus drove us over the edge of the cliff for them to finally see what was right out in front of them. And so it doesn't mean this dream gave me encouragement, because it showed that they would not be lost or like destroyed, but their lives had to be broken. They had to become a wreck on the rock of Christ. They had to pretty much fall apart to receive what he was actually saying and to wake up. And but for those who completely reject Christ and mock and make fun of what God is saying through his people right now, they will be like those Pharisees that Jesus was talking about, who the rock Jesus will fall on them and they will be crushed. So those people who completely reject the message of Christ and what he's saying right now in the earth will be crushed. But those who are still asleep and just not willing to look at what God is saying right now in the earth, they will be like those who fall on the rock, and their life will break apart to some degree, but Jesus will still save them. And so I just want to share this dream because I believe a lot of heartache and breaking apart and having to go through deeper storms can be avoided if we wake up right now, and if we pay attention to what God's saying and we heed his voice and ask him what he's saying and pay attention and stay sober minded and come into agreement with what God is saying. But if we don't do that and we choose to stay asleep, it's going to take Jesus allowing us to go through really scary, life-shifting, breaking apart type situations for us to wake up. And that's not the type of wake-up call we want. We want to be awake before the storm hits, so that we are not like those who become a wreck on the rock. Though they will be saved, it will take a lot of pain and struggle and trial to get them to wake up and to receive what he's saying in the earth. So I want to encourage that, and just to encourage all of us to not lose sight of what the Lord is saying, to stay sober-minded, to lean into what the Father is saying, even if it's not what we want to hear, even if it doesn't look like what's happening in the natural. We are God's children. We can hear his voice, and we don't have to be like those who become a wreck on the rock.